and you talked about being a detective. One thing I'd like to ask you is just go back to the beginning. In other words, what happens when something like this happens? What is the process? In other words, you have patrol officers, maybe transit officers who are initially on scene. What's the process from the incident occurring to someone being questioned, interrogated, and maybe taken into custody?
When the incident happened, it was Daniel Penny that requested bystanders to call the police to assist and possibly take Jordan Neely into custody. So when police responded on the scene, one of the first things that police do is ask what happened. Of course, they asked what happened. Medical aid was introduced by EMS, and then at that point, police felt that it was best to continue an interview with Daniel Penny in an uncontaminated environment. When I say an uncontaminated environment, when you're on that subway platform, you have people that can possibly intercede on what's being stated. So it was best to bring Daniel Penny into a police interview room. An interview was conducted, not an interrogation. The difference between an interview and an interrogation is that with an interview, you're free to leave at any point in time and you're not under arrest. With an interrogation, you don't have the ability to leave on your own accord. So this was an interview. And during this interview, Daniel Penny provided willful information as to what transpired on that particular subway car. Daniel Penny spoke to the aspect of how Jordan Neely was threatening other passengers on the train, and people felt as if their safety was in danger. So as a result, Daniel Penny and another individual interceded and restrained Jordan Neely for the purpose of police responding and taking control of the situation. And it was unfortunate that Mr. Neely lost his life, but you have to also look at where Mr. Neely was. He had a lot of comprehensive challenges within his physical characteristics, such as one, he was on K2. He was a person that was experiencing a mental health episode, and he was homeless. And by no means does any of that amount to someone losing their life. But at the same token, you have to take notice to these are issues that were plaguing Mr. Neely. So there was a restraint that was applied by Daniel Penny, which resulted or manifested in him losing his life. Now, I have to look at the comprehensive perspective of all of the other components that came to fruition. So it wasn't just the mere restraint, but it was also, like I mentioned, the K2, the mental health, and the homelessness was something that was driving him to ask or demand money from the people on that subway car. We had the initial interview. And Mr. Penny was able to go home because, like I mentioned, it was an interview. He was free to go. The police did not feel as if probable cause was established. Probable cause is the standard of proof necessary to conduct an arrest. At a later point, the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, believed that he wanted to have Mr. Penny arrested, and he believed that probable cause would be established by means of a grand jury. So Alvin Bragg enters this case into a grand jury. Well, he first has Mr. Penny arrested. Mr. Penny is arrested, and then the district attorney Alvin Bragg presents this to a grand jury, and an indictment comes down.
And Darren, let me stop you there. This is no, not at all. This is great. Again, you hit on something that I think is very important. We have some clips. They're short clips of the interview that the NYPD detectives conducted with with Daniel Penny. And one of the things he talked about was him wanting law enforcement there. I'm not sure which clip it is, but I have that when he talks to the detectives about his mindset. And it's one of these three clips that we have.
I want Sprite. I want ginger ale. When does he throw the jacket?
As soon that's like, so the doors close, he throws the jacket.
And then
that's when he starts like, if I get this, I'm willing to go to jail forever. I'll kill you, this, that, and that.
And is he going up to people specifically saying he'll kill them, or he's just kind of yelling in the air? Or...
it's like, it's, the heat of the moment.
I don't know, it happens.
Yeah.
But when he's doing this, is he staying still, or is he kind of moving up and down the?
But he's moving like a little bit. He's like getting people's faces, like people straight to the front of his neck and stuff. And
Okay. So he says, if I don't get this, I'm going to kill everyone. Something
go
to
to
that.
jail forever.
Yeah.
I'm willing to.
Is it at that point that's when you get up and decide to put him in the hold? Because it looks like a sleeper hold to me, like
Right.
something
Yeah.
similar to like.
I'm not trying to like kill the guy.
Right.
I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation. Right.
I understand. I understand.
So the reason I played that one is because he made it clear from the start that he perceived a public safety threat, that this guy was making specific threats. And again, we're going to get to Alvin Bragg, because this is the second part of what I want to talk about. But he said this is an interview. He's free to go, and he is giving, like I said, these free statements to the detectives, and really kind of, there's a setup there. Now, this is about a 30-minute interview from beginning to end. So I pulled a few clips there. But I think it's very important for people to try to put themselves in Daniel Penny's shoes and try to imagine what he was seeing and what he was hearing. And I think he did a very good job there. Now, he said that, hey, I wasn't trying to kill anybody, and obviously. But again, it goes to his mindset here about simply stopping the threat. What's your take on that clip there, Darren?
Well, Mark, what you stated was true, but what's missing from that interview is the eyewitness interviews, and the eyewitness interviews support Daniel Penny's testimony in that interview. The eyewitnesses that were in that subway car specifically state that they were threatened. They were in fear of their safety. And so it wasn't just what Daniel Penny said, but this was corroborated by the other people in the subway car. In addition to that, Daniel Penny has been the focal point, but there was another person that assisted Daniel Penny in the restraint of Jordan Neely. So it was clear that it wasn't just Daniel Penny's vision that perceived that there was a credible threat, but there were other people that corroborated this as well.